where there is a trigger, there's also treasure. I want you to think of someone hunting for treasure with a metal detector. So they hover it over the ground and it starts making all of these wild noises when that person is directly above something that has been buried in the ground that's made of metal that may be of great value. So I want you to think of the wild noises that the metal detector makes as being your emotional triggers. When we interact with people that cause a great emotional response within us, such as anger or irritation or something of that nature, it means that there is something that has been buried, but not buried in the ground, buried deep in our unconscious mind. Who has buried it there? We have. We all, when we're growing up as little children, look to our environment to see what is considered acceptable and unacceptable. And the aspects of ourselves that are considered unacceptable, we try to disavow ourselves from them. We bury them, but they don't go away. We just bury them deep in our unconscious minds. But what happens is that whenever we encounter a person that exhibits these traits, it causes that strong emotional response in us and we experience it as a trigger. Now, most of us actually run from our triggers, and this is completely understandable because a trigger is by its very nature uncomfortable. You see, our egos are trying to defend us from exhibiting these traits because it fears that we might be rejected by society if we were to show these traits to the world. But what we want to do is cultivate an attitude towards our triggers like the treasure hunter has towards the sounds that the metal detector makes. You see, when the treasure hunter hears the sounds that the metal detector makes, the treasure hunter does not try to silence the metal detector or get annoyed by it or try to drop it and run away, or he doesn't try smashing the metal detector, because these are all counterproductive to the idea of finding and uncovering that treasure. So if we were to think of our triggers as the sounds on the metal detector, then we would have a completely different attitude towards them, because it would mean that we would start getting curious about those aspects of our personalities that we've buried. You see, the reason why I'm calling them treasure is because of the fact that even though at a certain age we buried these traits, it doesn't mean that they are negative. It just means that we feared that they would get us rejected. But in actuality, anything that we have repressed is a part of our wholeness that we have thrown away, that we have discarded. And anytime that we're able to actually retrieve a part of ourselves that has been buried, then we are able to operate from a more whole, authentic position, a place of choice, and we are able to choose for ourselves from a much wider range of options. And so these traits that you have hidden in your unconscious mind may actually hold the key to get you unstuck and the key to your success. So the next time you're triggered, think of that trigger like the sound on the metal detector. Start getting curious, start digging, because I guarantee you that there is treasure to be found.